Okay, I think I finally got that squared away. Tonight is a quick test. Well, quick. It's a stream test because I have to figure out what was going wrong the last couple of times. I think I finally got it figured out. Correction, Fortnite and NVIDIA got it figured out. So I've just finished 2 tests, but I'm going to be continuing it with a actual stream, just because I want to make sure this doesn't cause problems for me anymore. Hopefully. Anyway, we're going to be doing a little bit of this. You know, I've been realizing a couple of years back, I had some people tell me the rules of streaming. And one of the things is that you never ban people. You never block people. You never say something controversial. These are part of the rules of streaming. I break those rules quite a bit. And I do so not necessarily with malice, but I do it because I break those rules because I know that that some things just cannot be avoided. And if you pretend to avoid it, eventually it will blow up in your face. Well, when I first got the channel started, there were a couple of bans that took place right off the bat. But for the most part, it was kind of over after that. I didn't have to worry about that. Things mellowed out. I was a little too boring for people to really get too upset about. Or if people did have issues, they very quickly would find somewhere else to kind of go. Well, that changed again as X started to become bombarded with a bunch of nonsense. Stand by just a second. Once we jump out of this, I'm going to do a quick audio test. Aha. So the Fortnite audio has glitched again. All right, see, this is why this is a test stream, because I got to figure this stuff out. And I thought this one was resolved already. Let's test this now. Okay, that's operational still, thankfully. Okay, so once we land, I'm going to test the Fortnite audio. Interesting balloons. Is that getting lower? Back to the skies. Neat idea. Okay. Now while that's happening, come over here and check the Fortnite audio. Okay, so now let us test this. No, it did not work. Well, this part tends to glitch fairly regularly, so I'm not too surprised that this audio would be causing problems. Well, the other solution to this is just to use desktop audio, which I really don't like doing because it causes problems. Fly away, balloon. Faster. There we go. Wonderful. Shoot. Wrong item. Whatever. So, that means I have to delete the Fortnite audio and recreate it again. I think this tends to cause problems when I am dealing with a video card update. That seems to be the common factor. Right, now transition that scene back over here. The other thing that happens is, yeah, it's not going to work. All right, bring that here, and we'll just quiet down the stream radio because that will otherwise start to echo. Okay, I think we're good to go. Just keep pressing forward for a little while here. So banning and blocking. So back, actually stand by just once more. So banning and block. Okay, it started to peak there on the audio. I just want to double check if it was like kind of a scratchy sound or not. I probably need to turn down the mic volume a little bit. I'll probably do that in the future. Anyway, banning and blocking. So this first started to come to my attention about the importance of doing this when I started to finally understand the psychology of people that are permanently online. Now, I know that's becoming a bit of a meme these days of that. Oh, it's the person who's perpetually online. They never walk out of their house. They are basically kind of like robots. Okay, basically they're people that are behaving off of their emotion. They're not behaving off of logic and reason. That's what kind of the meme is. And that honestly is what a lot of regular people think about people on the internet. I don't blame them. I do not blame them. There is a lot of truth in that, but there's also some exaggeration that takes place. But if you're constantly online, you're probably going to be more inclined to be willing to think that your behavior has absolutely no consequences. It's just a game, bro. That sort of thing. Or it's just social media. What are you getting all upset about? See, back in the day, there used to be a very clear understanding of that. If you were to go and harass somebody verbally, you could end up in a pretty bad position. Once upon a time, that could have actually ended up in a gunfight. Other times, it would have ended up with a slap across the face. Other times, it could have resulted in imprisonment. And then we come to the web and we think, oh, that stuff's like old-fashioned. We're all mature now. We know how to turn the other cheek. Thus, why I was taught from those that were experts in the streaming world that it needs to be just ignored. You cannot play into the game, otherwise you give them what they want, so to speak. Well, I saw what that did to them. I saw what it did to their mentality, how very easy it was for them to still get riled, and it would eat the daylights out of them. Thus raised kind of the point for me that, well, you need to be wary. Ooh, that could have gone really bad. You have to be wary, kind of like that, of people's intentions. Is someone going to be trying to cause you immense grief because they want to see you, so to speak, virtually bleed? Well, you don't want to have someone like that around because they will eventually find a way to get at you. Interesting. You can still bandage with it even when you're maxed. Okay. All right. I saw some footsteps a moment ago. What's up with all the bananas? Does it spit out paint? Nope. So mentality will eventually start to erode as somebody starts to get under your skin verbally. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens in a slow drip. Some people specialize in that sort of behavior. They want to make you squirm. They want to make you break. So, for the betterment of everybody, you need to overlook and then get rid of that irritation. Because eventually, they will find a way to break you. And if they don't find a way, they will try and build up animosity until you eventually do break. Because to them, that's the game. Well, some people, unfortunately... Oh, did it crash? That's why we're testing this. We're testing to see if it crashes. Yep, that crashed. Well, it was going so good, too. I'm going to restart it, see if that fixes the audio. Well, unfortunately, it looks like after tonight, until they can fix this game, it's probably not going to be a regular anymore. I was hoping to bring it back for Christmas time, but I guess that's probably just not meant to be. You know, there are people in your life that will constantly try and cause you to break emotionally. Some people, unfortunately, take your good nature and twist it in order to get at you. And in doing so, it makes you not want to hold to values. In fact, it can cause you to outright reject the very values that make you who you are. The very values that that build up your community, that build up your family, that establish your honor in the in your circles. Oh wow, the game is really glitched right now. Oh, now it's back. Huh, that's weird. All right. Let's try something different. Let's try full screen again. I've not done this for a while because full screen has caused immense problems. And it continues to cause problems. Okay. Apply. Keep changes. Now let's try it like this. We're manually stretching this because this caused a problem last year, or was it a little over a year ago? Either way, it was there was a time where the game was incredibly buggy, and it was a result of the position of the window. That's one of the reasons why I go to windowed full screen for these games, because of that problem. All right, where was I? Psychologically breaking you down and then eventually weaponizing your own values against you. Yes, that's where I was. During the process of having to deal with somebody that is trying to eat away at your values, that can happen in marriages. That can happen with children to their parents. That can happen with siblings, good friends, even enemies. Whoever sees your values and decides to weaponize them, that person is not to be trusted. And by the way, that's the problem that a lot of that the Chinese are doing to the U.S. They're using our own values against us, making us question whether or not we should hold to them at all. Illegal immigrants are taking advantage of our system, makes us not want to have any immigration, period. You're going to have things like that where your values that you held to for your entire life start to get questioned. And in some cases, you have to abandon those values. But most of the time, you should not. Ones that are based upon scripture are the ones you should not abandon. Those that are based upon human reasoning are the ones that you can probably let stretch or bend. Well, it seems like the audio did not restore like I was hoping to. I guess it must be OBS that needs to be reset. Yeah, that is to be expected. Sky Pirate. Oof. Particle accelerator. Of some kind. Wait a minute. Interesting. No idea where that took me. What was that? Okay, now let's pay attention to where this goes. Interesting. Well, now, how do we get in there? That is not how you do that. Right, something in there. Let's use some Fortnite logic. What is the method to enter there? Now, it could be that this is just not activated yet. That doesn't do anything. Okay, well, no idea. And I don't have the gamer instinct to be able to know what is going on with that. Kind of weird to have red windows like that. Come on. Nah. Oh well. That's a pretty neat item. I like that. Can I read this? Nope. There we go. That's not good. Thought it had a longer range. That's pretty strong for a close range. Wunderbar. Where do I go? Come on. There we go. Did not mean to ping that. Whatever. Oh, I didn't pull up fast enough. Well, I was having some problems with the website, and I learned something very interesting. Because my the Castercraft website, when he came to the Silverado point redeem page, sometimes a weird glitch would happen. And it was happening to me more and more. Oh, that was dandy. Wow, he did a lot of damage to me. Need to find me some health. There we go. Haven't used one of these in a while. Come on, stop glitching. Stop glitching. There we go. Okay, that wasn't really a glitch. It was more me just not able to line up the shot before pressing the E button. So this glitch that, as somebody who does web coding, I've never encountered this before. It would be the equivalent of... So part of the website just wouldn't load. It would glitch. It would came up as black. The images were just unable to load, but they would still be detected. I could preview them, no problem, on my laptop, but not on my desktop. On my phone, but again, not on my desktop. In particular with Brave and Chrome. And then Firefox. All of them started to glitch and got worse and worse as time went on. I've been dealing with this for about 3 months now. And I couldn't figure out why it was only happening on some machines. And I still don't. Why it happens on some machines but not others. But I figured out what the problem was. It was the name of the file. I hate the situation when the culture starts to rename things and then suddenly realize that something that's a very common term ends up being a very bad term. And because it's a very, very bad term, browsers now will hide the elements that have that name. I've never known them to do this. I didn't know that this was even possible. And all it took was a name change. But it wasn't just any name change. It had to be very specific. I'm not going to mention the name because I don't want people to start searching for it. But it was something where it was common. Well, at least in the terms of the world of old miners and whatnot. Oh, come on. Why can't I hit you? Wonderful. You didn't drop health, did you? No. So it was 2 words that were put back to back. And it was descriptive of what was in the image. It was a color, and it was a mineral. Because I thought it was an interesting looking texture. Very common texture, actually. But for whatever reason, when you put the name of the color next to the name of the mineral, it caused everything to be treated as if you were trying to promote a drug. And a couple of other things, apparently. And that was why it got blocked. Really baffling to me that that would be the case. So does that mean that if someone were to put a bad name into an image file, it's no longer going to load? Very intriguing. This is a good spot. Wonder how this would work on a car. I don't really want to leave this spot. It's a good spot. So far. Hello? That guy went flying quite far. Hello? Oh, come on. Come on. I wish it would tell you who had aim assist and who didn't. I don't know if that person had aim assist, but I have been encountering that more and more. And it's very frustrating. They don't even hide it anymore. I remember when they were saying initially, oh, we don't have aim assist. And they were trying to push out there that there was no such thing as aim assist. That was just conspiracy. And then it became commonplace. Like, yeah, you got aim assist. Yeah, we got it, but you don't really notice it. Yes, we do. I hate it when that happens, when you find something and then a company thinks that for the betterment of the game, they're just going to pretend like it doesn't exist. There's been a lot of things like that. Have you noticed? Throughout our life, we have seen a lot of things where they tell us, oh, this doesn't exist. You're crazy. And then it turns out, nope, the conspiracy theory was right. Now you can take it too far. You can start to doubt everything. That becomes a problem. Because if you can't believe anything, well, what do you believe? And I notice the people that are really big into conspiracy theories, that give it more credence than they should, end up making some pretty weird decisions in life. So that is how the flat earth people come about. And having traveled around the globe, the world is a globe. It's pretty apparent when you are flying. But a lot of these people are too scared to get into a plane. A lot of these people are too scared to even leave their town. So I don't put any stock in them. But that being said, there are some things that you do need to be skeptical about. To be able to look at and say, you know what? I don't believe this nonsense that people are pushing. Where am I going to land? Over here. That area is not marked on my map yet. Now, there are some things that I no longer believe are real. Some things that I thought for certain were for the majority of my life. And recently I've started to doubt it. Why? Because you can only be told, just believe us, for so long. And then you start to say, you know what? You've had your time. You've had decades to prove it. And you're not proving it. Ew, that's pretty nice. What have you got? Oh, you're just a bot for hire. No one likes bots. But I started noticing when I got older that there were some views that I held that people were just saying, you're such a conspiracy theorist. Things like aimbot. I was like, somebody's obviously able to aim in a split second and get a shot off. And then I played consoles and I started saying, I did not line up that shot. And lo and behold, I would get the kill. And I was like, something is amiss. That was close. Oh, that was close too. I noticed an aim assist back in the early 2000s. And it was with Halo that I noticed it, and I couldn't figure it out. It's like something's amiss. It's like the game is predicting where my shot is going. That was back when they were really pushing, like, no, there's no such thing as aim assist, and people were bragging like how good they were with being able to line up a shot. And I'm really good with being able to aim in real life. And so when I can't aim in a game and someone else can out aim me in a second, it makes me doubt seriously what's going on. Now, I'm not very good when it comes to aiming in games, but still, it seems a little weird when that happens. A lot of shotguns. This is not very good. Yeah. Oh well. So aim assist was one of those things that predicted early on that there's something amiss with this. There's probably something going on, and lo and behold, it happened. Well, there's some other things that people started to say that I started noticing. You know, I used to write it off, and now I can no longer write it off. And a lot of that came about because of experience. But you have to restrain yourself. Because, like I said earlier, if you start to if you believe nothing, well, that becomes a big problem in itself. You start to believe all the superstitions in the world rather than any truth. You replace truth with myth is what tends to happen. So far, game is acting stable. Dance! I wonder what the things that we write off today will be proven or disproven within our lifetime. One of those things that I'm certain is going to be disproven within our lifetime is the nonsense about aliens. I think that we're going to get such a... I think we're going to get a shell shock. There's some people that are going to be convinced completely that they're real. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say, nope, okay, yeah, that was it, the final nail. We know that these things are fake. It's going to make a lot of people angry when that revelation comes out. Why am I so convinced of that? Because I know human nature. I know the mythologies of the world. I know that there is a pattern. When people want to understand mysteries... Oh, it's unfortunate. When people want to understand a mystery, they'll start by believing a bunch of nonsense. Oh, shoot. That's a pretty powerful combo there, the twin hammer shotguns. Duly noted. But so, when it comes to aliens, unfortunately for the people that are like, oh, but what if? See, they say what if, not because they're trying to be like clever. It's because down deep, they really want it to be true. And there's a very dark reason for that. Now, if you're somebody that believes that, then I'm sorry that this will sound harsh, but it's kind of a necessary thing. Not like there's anybody watching tonight anyway. But aliens is a desire to want to rekindle pagan gods. They don't like the idea of a creator. And for them, to have aliens disproves the creation story. And to them, they look at that and they say, if aliens exist, well then that means there's no such thing as morality. What if the rules of this world are completely different to what the rest of the universe operates on? Oh, you think God would make the entire universe and not want to fill it with life? Yeah, I do believe that. Why does he have to fill it with life? Well, that's just a waste of space. Doesn't that show how incredibly focused he is upon this world, though, if that is indeed the case? You know that in Revelation it tells about that there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth? I kind of have a sneaking suspicion that includes space. The stars are going to be wiped out of the sky. There's going to be catastrophes in the heavens. And yet, we're just supposed to believe that somehow all the events of this earth are going to impact the entire universe, and every species of creature is doomed because of what mankind did? It's bad enough that the whole earth suffers. Why should the entire universe? Because it doesn't. The universe is completely different than what people want to believe. I think it's high time we stop toying with the idea. Does it make for some good science fiction? Yeah, I do admit that. But it's not healthy. This studio's sus. Hey, is this the first blue that I found on this map? This is not a good item. Did I say not a good item? I mean, it's the perfect item. Ho ho, perfect. You know you want it. There was a guy that I talked with who really changed my views on how dangerous it is. Oh, come on. I waited too long. Come on. Ah, shoot. Boy, I could not hit. Oh, well. So a guy that convinced me because of his beliefs that changed how I viewed the subject. See, I had an existential crisis as a kid when I suddenly realized that aliens could exist. Now, I don't believe that anymore, but I had a full-blown panic attack. First time that I had actually had it. Because suddenly, that meant that the entire universe was hostile. And it meant that hope was kind of subjective. It meant that eternity was a fantasy. And I started to contemplate what that would mean. And it took me a couple of years to finally calm down about it. Well, then I met somebody who, in his late teenage years, early 20s, had this exact same realization. But to him, it was devastating. It caused him to have horrible anxiety, horrible panics, all with this realization that that the world could end in a split moment. See, if you believe that there is such thing as aliens and that then you start to think, well, maybe we have to escape the planet. And to him, it suddenly became about we are wasting time to get off the Earth. To him, everything had to revolve around space. Every government project needed to involve space. Every financial investment needed to be about space. All about trying to get people off the planet so humanity could survive. That is going to ruin people, financially ruin them, because they are not going to have the ability to overcome their fear. I don't even believe that mankind will be allowed to escape this earth. And that's an opinion that I have really come to embrace as of late. I had that theory back when I was in college, and I started noticing some oddities in space travel and the reports that NASA would give and the claims. Something was amiss. Oh, phooey. Hey, that was a bear attire. It's been a while since I wore that. So I started noticing this oddity that was happening with space travel. People would make claims, they would prove the science of things, and then there would be some people that would say, wait a minute, you said this, but mathematically we're noticing some oddities with this. And it took a long time before I started hearing professionals and experts coming out and saying some of the same doubts. And now it is actually a growing trend for people to start having doubts about this stuff. And that's where it becomes a bit of an issue. I believe people have gotten to orbit. Now, I don't think that they have probably gotten farther than that. I doubt that stuff because, well, similar to, because a lot of the narratives that you hear have to be backed by some sort of proof. And when you can't repeat something, well, that's a clear sign that something's amiss. But just because you have a doubt doesn't mean that you suddenly become someone that doubts everything. Now, I do believe we have probes that have gone to other planets. I don't know how many. I think that there's a little there's a bit of an oddity in that we're able to send probes into deep space, but then we can't figure out some basic things back here on Earth. Seems to be a little peculiar. We're suddenly able to deal with immense tech challenges for deep space communications, and we can't get a silly game to operate. Now, I know, sure, the NASA researchers are not dedicated to this sort of stuff, but I have seen some other things that makes me doubt. Anyway, I'm gonna no more need to ramble about that because I've already talked about this before. I think I hear somebody a little bit closer than that. Nope, never mind. Oh, here we go. Oh, that didn't work. Different boards. Oh, here we go. Shoot. I mean, not shoot. I mean, fail to shoot. We'll do one more full round and then we'll call it there. This is just supposed to be a short stream anyway. Testing things out, rambling. Par for the course. You know, I've been glad that I never made enough money on streaming to justify it. I have made a very small amount. Enough. I haven't even made enough to justify the electricity cost of this PC during streaming. 3 years and haven't been able to break even on that. That doesn't even account for Restream or the other tools or that massive development I did for Silverado or things like that. None of it has been paid off. But I'm glad that that never happened. Because I've noticed a lot of people saying, well, it's time to stop streaming because the revenue is just not there. I can't justify the money that it's costing me. Like, it barely costs you anything to stream, period. And you already make revenue. How much do you need to justify your streaming? For me, it's always in the negative. So why would I have a problem streaming when the funds get even smaller? I was already making like 5 cents a stream. Now I make 1 cent a stream, of which I can't even get that because you have to reach a certain amount before you can withdraw it. So that basically means that most of it has actually been locked away on platforms. Kind of funny how that happens. but I never had to worry about that. Well, somebody that I watch on a semi-regular basis was saying, well, guys, it's been fun, but I just can't do this anymore. The money's just not coming in. And he gets donations constantly. I'm like, how? You can't do this full time. Those days ended shortly after the pandemic. Those days ended spectacularly. Everyone knew. But some people were like, no, we're going to still try and make it work. Well, you can see where those people are now. They're quitting. Only time I'll quit is when I find that I have other projects that I have to work on. That's the only thing that will really get me away from it. But I have noticed other people, for lack of a better term, bellyaching about it constantly. How I'm just not making the money. Hey guys, we need donations. Especially for ones that are like doing a legit service that they were doing for free to begin with. There's a channel that I follow, semi-news channel. I'm not going to mention it right now, but because I don't know what their full finance story is. But I've noticed that they started out as free news. It's like, hey, this stuff is too important just to look the other way. We need people to know what's going on. And the guy did it in his off time. Oh, that was close. So this news channel, which I followed for many, many years, now comes out and says, well, guys, if we don't get more donations, we're just going to have to shut down this low-tier news channel. And I do say low-tier, not because I'm trying to say that they're lame or anything like that. It's more like just the reality. It is small time. It should not be, oh, golly. Don't bother a man when he's trying to drink water. So they have a massive following. But yet, at the same time, that massive following just doesn't cut it. Like, we're talking millions of people. And yet they can't pay for one person's salary who does it part-time. Unless he stopped doing it part-time and I didn't hear about that. Oh, it crashed. Okay, well, I know that this game is too unstable. It's a shame, but again, probably for the best. That means we're going to find something else to be doing for some of these games. All right, well, we're just going to call it right there. The test worked in some ways and failed in others. Yeah. Well, we're just going to wrap it on up. Have a very pleasant evening and morning, everybody. If anyone's out there, consider liking the stream if you so desire, and dislike it if you think I should not be testing stuff like this and just go back to the regular scheduled program. But until next time, folks, have a very pleasant evening. Oh, yeah, and be civil to one another.